We are currently in the process of working on our first movement of a 6-movement suite. We kind of organized it around double music by Harrison and Cage, where we set a structure of how many measures we would write for and a tempo, and then each of us got to write our own part without knowing what each other was writing. So for my part, I chose to go with a more Reichian additive process. So basically what I did was created a 16th note theme, and I built up that theme over the course of the piece by adding 1/16 at a time. The instruments that I've chosen are some wood blocks. I have a tambourine and an embao gong, a go-go bell, and a dream embao gong as well as my bass drum.
For my part, this has been a really great process when I was thinking about what to write, and I wanted to use a few instruments that have sort of been, like all percussionists have, kind of just sitting on their shelves or tucked away somewhere in a case. These things you buy and you never actually use for any gigs or anything like that. So a couple of those instruments are actually the guiro frog. Finally got to use that. And I have a nightingale call. Amongst like some other just bits of a broken wind chime, some piccolo wood blocks, Chinese tom-tom, waiter bell. And when I was writing my part, I kind of envisioned I would take on more of an accompanying role. So I sort of wrote it to that idea. A few ostinatos, mostly just kind of thinking background kind of sounds, with the exception of there's a few places that I wanted to punch out. So I can't remember how many instruments I actually have, if I can really quickly, but in the very last section, sort of the coda, in a very quick succession I try to play all the instruments at the very end. Sort of like throughout the piece they get played in certain sections in different combinations, and near the end I kind of try to get through all of them all at once. So yeah, that's my part.
Alright, so for my part, I was influenced a lot by Cage, which mentioned that the idea for this whole thing came from double music that Cage and Harrison wrote together. And Third Construction by Cage is one of my favorite pieces, and to me it's a very conversational piece, so that piece was a big influence in the part that I wrote. I have a lot of figures, odd number of beats or eighth notes that go over the bar line and repeat rhythmic figures. I have some sort of melodic figures, and in fact there's actually a lick from Third Construction from one of the parts that I lifted and put right into my part. So also I left a lot of space in my part because I was thinking that in a conversation, even though we didn't know what all our parts are going to be like, you're not ideally speaking the entire time. So in terms of instruments, I tried to get a variety of different sounds. I have 3 triangles, there's a cymbal here, 5 nipple gongs, 3 wood blocks, and a snare drum. And so that lets me have some longer sounds, some shorter sounds, kind of a variety. So yeah, this was a really fun thing to do. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Alright, so for my part, instrument choices, I wanted something contained, and I definitely took inspiration from setups from Third Construction. So I've got a pair of drums, Indonesian kendang. I've got 4 different sets of graduated medals, some odd sorts of things, and just some block bars. I've got a suspended ringing medal, and I have a shaker too. So even just with those few things, a lot of sound possibilities. For my actual part, most of it is very patterned. I didn't do a lot of melodic stuff. I did a lot of repetitive patterns that slightly change over time. You can take a look there. And there's actually a few sections in the spirit of conversation and wanting to relate to someone else without really knowing what their part was going to be. There's 3 sections where I wrote imitate one of the other players. So there's a section that comes up and I imitate Rich, a section that comes up and I imitate Jamie, and another one where I imitate Dan. And I didn't know what they were going to play at that exact time, but now that we're committed to it, I get to improvise on what they're doing, which is pretty cool.